Hey, so it's 10 days until the World Public Speaking Championship, or the next round, the semis, in Washington, D.C., which I am traveling over for, which I am preparing for as best as I can. And one of the things I wanted to look at again was the judging ballot, and how judges actually judge these speech contests, because a lot of Toastmasters, or sorry, a lot of non-Toastmasters ask me how you judge, how these contests are judged. But also Toastmasters, I think, often overlook the judging criteria. I know I did. The first couple contests I entered, I actually didn't even look at the judging ballot, which, seems ridiculous to not even look at what you're being judged on. But actually I think a lot of people do that when they first enter a contest. And it was only when Dermot Carey suggested I look at it that it was like, oh, okay, so this is actually what I need to focus on. So I wanted to look at the judging ballot. So here you can see what the typical Toastmasters International Speech Contest judging slip looks like. You can see along the top is the 10 contestants, up to 10 contestants that you're going to have. And you can see the different areas on what you're judged in: speech development, effectiveness, and all the way down on the left there. Now, the interesting thing is that that you have different points assigned. So here's the total points in terms of the different areas. So on content, half your points actually come from the content of your speech. So you could get up there and deliver it terribly, as long as it's a well-written, well put together speech. Actually, you could do quite well out of it. Then obviously your delivery is pretty important, 30, and then it comes down to your language. And a lot of the contest winners, English isn't their first language, and I suppose here's a key part that then key way that they're not penalized is actually only 20 points go towards language. So you can see that the biggest category here is speech development, so your structure and organization, the effectiveness of the speech, and this is something that I always was lacking from my previous speeches, is this big call to action. The purpose of it and the speech value is tied to that, as well as what are they going to take away from it. Is it something different that the audience hasn't and the judges haven't really seen before? What is the value of this? Is it going to change their life? And my speeches really had very little of those before the speech that I'm trying to do. In this contest, it's a lot more, it's very different from how I would usually do a speech. It's a lot more, here's the purpose, here's the meaning, take this away from you, change your life, all that jazz. And then you got physical, which, I'm okay at in terms of body language and things like that. Speaking area, I need to be a bit more effective in terms of how I use the stage. So that'll be interesting to see how that goes. Voice, obviously, I'm always criticized for because I'm very monotone and have a terrible voice. Manner, again, my enthusiasm, one of the big bits of feedback I often get from my speeches is that I looked bored, but actually, no, I'm not bored. And so I really need to step that up, especially in America, where Americans are uber enthusiastic. I need to be pretty enthusiastic. Appropriateness, I think, I've touched on that in a previous video. And then correctness, grammar, pronunciation. Someone said I was a lazy speaker the other day. And then word selection. This isn't it. Someone said this to me the other day, a while ago. I was delivering a different speech, and I think I used the word nice, and someone pulled me up on it and they said that's a terrible word to use, which it is, but it's when you're, when you're thinking on your feet, you slip into these really boring, lame words. Whereas actually when you prepare a lot, you come up with lovely, you can bring in great words and really nice turns of phrases. Oh, I just said nice again, because I'm not prepared for this video. So that is the judging criteria, and then it totals up to 100 points, and that is what you are marked against, and then a panel of judges use those points to determine first, second, and third place. So there we go. That's the judging slip. That's what I'm looking at now. 10 days to go until this contest. Here we go.